Hello friends, today we're going to be talking about my best tips for how to win a house in today's super competitive market. I hope they'll help you and I can't wait to share them with you because I think they have been really valuable for helping me help my clients win the houses they love in this market. Let's get right into it. So my very first tip is that it's really important to pick a realtor that you can trust, that communicates with you and is open and very honest. A lot of realtors out there who are maybe just trying to get a paycheck and get you to the finish line are not necessarily concerned with your best interests. And I really think that finding the best realtor at the beginning of the process is going to save you a lot of time and headaches and maybe even money, which is most important, especially with such a big process and such a big purchase that you're going to be making. So that's my first tip. Next up is to find a lender that you really feel comfortable and confident with. Now, remember when I said find a great realtor? Your realtor is going to know people and have people in their circle that they trust, and your realtor is going to be able to recommend some vendors like mortgage lenders, like inspectors, like attorneys that you're going to need throughout the process. So finding the right realtor is what's going to help you throughout the entire process. Now, a really good lender is going to work through your scenario as well as work with your realtor to determine your financial situation to set you up for the most success in the process of trying to find and purchase and get your offer accepted for a home. That's why it's important to say upfront to your realtor, here's how much money I have, here's how much I'm willing to put down, and make sure that you're always leaving some money aside, not taking every single penny you have in savings, but you're telling your lender and your realtor, here's what I have, because they're the people who are gonna set up your offer to be the most appealing it can be based on your situation. And as a side note, please do not use an online bank and type in your information. I really highly recommend that you talk to an actual person. There are great mortgage lenders available everywhere nowadays, and using an online bank is bad for so many reasons. Maybe I'll do another video about that, but I really don't recommend using an online bank. Lenders are really going to be able to do much more for you than some computer that you obviously can't talk to, at least not yet anyway. Your lenders are going to help you create what's called a pre-approval. And in my experience, there's difference between, I'm not going to get into the details of this, but there's a difference between a pre-qualification letter and a pre-approval letter. A pre-approval says from the lender to the seller and the seller's agent, I have gone through this person's finances and run the numbers, and they can in fact afford your home, and they are telling the truth about all these numbers. Pre-qualifications, which are very similar to those online lenders that I was talking about you shouldn't use, will basically spit out a letter based on whatever you put in the computer. So you could say whatever you want to say in some instances and get a pre-qualification letter. It's important to understand that when your realtor, that great realtor you hired at the beginning, presents your offer and you have this pre-approval, you can explain, the realtor will be able to explain to the seller and the seller's agent, hey, we've actually gone through the process of being pre-approved. Now, there's a further extended process that you can actually go through underwriting. I'm not going to go into that either right now, but if you go through the underwriting process with your lender and you're actually further along in the home purchase process, and then they're just waiting for you to pick the home so they can enter that address and factor that into all of their algorithm and systems that produce your loan, then you can say to this potential seller, hey, I've actually gone through even more of the process than most people. I'm more prepared to buy this home than maybe other people who have that mortgage-backed loan as well. So again, so important to have the right realtor and lender on your team. Next up, you're going to want to really take a hard look at the important things in the home purchase. In today's market that's super competitive, you're not going to be able to necessarily get everything you want. And I always tell my clients, there are three areas. There's home purchase price, there's location, and then there's home features. You can usually, unless your budget is endless and you just won the lottery, you can usually get 2 out of 3. So you're going to have to decide early on, which am I willing to let go of? Am I willing to maybe pay a price I didn't initially want to pay? Am I going to have to choose a location I originally didn't think I wanted to live in, or a place I didn't want to live in? Or just an adjustment. Maybe it doesn't have to be somewhere you hate. It shouldn't be somewhere you hate, but maybe you weren't originally thinking about that location. Or home features. And most of my buyers have to sacrifice home features. Maybe they wanted an updated home, but now they have to look at homes that need some updating. Maybe the floor plan's not great in order to purchase the home that they can afford, because like I said, most of us let's face it, don't have endless money to be able to cover that much difference in price. And I won't go into too much detail, but I did a video about appraisals here that I'll link, and that goes into a piece of the process that might allow you to help make your bid, your offer, a little bit more appealing by putting in what's called an appraisal waiver. It's important to understand what that means, but there are a lot of people who are putting in these waivers, cash buyers for sure, because cash buyers don't really care. They're not getting a mortgage. They can waive the appraisal 100% of the time. And they're not doing the appraisal process. They don't need to worry about it. And also people who are getting mortgages who are putting in these appraisal waivers. So important to understand that, and that's why I did that video for you. Next up is to make sure that your realtor is sending you homes on a regular basis that fit your criteria. Of course, most people in today's world will look on Zillow, but Zillow is not as accurate as we know. So it's important to have your realtor checking daily for you and also sending you those in automatic emails based on your criteria. And then you want to see a competitive or a potentially competitive home within 24 to 48 hours after it hits the market. And then you're probably going to need to decide that day if you want to put in an offer. That's why it's important to have the right realtor and lender so that you've gone through the process of understanding your finances and where you stand so that you know how to put in a competitive offer in this market based on where you stand financially. So putting in that competitive offer up front, you want to think about this concept that I talk to my buyers about a lot. What is your no regret number? Meaning I will put in this number, and if I don't get the home, I'm going to be okay with it because I wouldn't have been able to or wanted to pay more. That's your no regret number. You need to know that. And sometimes the no regret number is different for different homes, but it's something you'll need to think about once you've seen the home and decided you do want to put an offer in. Next up, when you're putting in that offer and you're thinking about your down payment and your good faith deposit, which I won't go into too much detail, hopefully your realtor is explaining this to you, but your down payment is how much you're putting, how much cash you're putting up front aside from the closing costs total in the property. So maybe you're putting 20% down and you want to put at least 5% of that up in the good faith deposit, which is your initial deposit. And that's basically saying to the seller, hey, I'm serious. So let's say there's two people who are putting 20% down, and one person says they're going to put 1% of that 20% towards the good faith initial deposit, and one person says they're going to put 5%. Who's going to seem more serious? This person over here putting 5%, right? So the more you put up front, the more likely it will be more appealing to the seller than some of the other competitive or maybe not so competitive offers up against you. Now, a lot of people get nervous about good faith deposits, that initial deposit, because they're worried about not getting it back. So long as you put your best foot into the transaction, so long as you operate in good faith, if something comes up during the inspection or maybe the mortgage and it's not working out for some reason, one or both parties can cancel a transaction as long as it's in good faith. If you just get cold feet and you want to back out a week before, there is a chance that the seller can keep your money, but they're going to want to go back to the market. And in this market, it takes a long time to go through that process of trying to keep your money. So they're probably just going to be like, go ahead. 99% of the time, you're going to get your money back if you are being honest and truthful and acting in good faith during the entire process. If it just doesn't work out, then you go your separate ways. And like I said, most times you get your money back. Two last things I want to present. The first is being flexible with the closing date if you can. Sometimes sellers need more or less time to move out, depending on where they're moving to. So being flexible with the closing date could really help and work in your favor. And next is to have your realtor ask the seller's realtor, hey, what's important to this seller? What do they really want other than the price, which we all know is important, to understand what exactly the seller's looking for in a potential good buyer or great buyer. And there you have it. Those are my tips for putting your best foot forward and hopefully winning the house that you love in today's crazy market. Be well, be kind, leave a comment if you have questions. Please feel free to reach out anytime. Like and subscribe and all that fun stuff. Have a great day. Be well and be kind.